Our own weather expert, Storm Team 4 meteorologist Liz McGiffin, has a look at the history of these predictions. And Liz, just how accurate are they really?
I know. I will admit, I'll be the first one to say, if you're going 6 weeks out, it's kind of hard to pinpoint that accuracy well. So I was actually a little surprised at how accurate some of these forecasts can be, especially for how long this tradition's lasted. So I just want to focus in on our good friend Phil over here. So Punxsutawney Phil actually did his first prediction in 1887. So regardless of how you feel about the forecast, this is actually a pretty fun prediction that's been going on for a long time. And since then, there have been over 100 times where Phil's been seeing his shadow. In fact, 104 times have been recorded, 19 times without a shadow. And for as long as we've been doing this, I think it's also pretty good that there's only been 10 times without a recording. So you may notice that there's been a little bit of a bias that Phil has towards seeing his shadow and saying, hey, 6 more weeks of winter. In fact, nearly 80% of the time, that's what he's saying. And the accuracy of what he's actually had out there, not too bad either. He's been accurate nearly 40% of the time. And if you just want to look at the last 10 years, he's been improving his accuracy about 10%. Now, as far as what we're actually expecting over the next couple of weeks, it does look like we're actually going to be seeing a little bit more toward what Phil's been saying, with much colder air heading our way. And on top of that, we like to look at whether things will be wetter or drier than normal. And right now, it's kind of supporting that La Nina pattern that we've been seeing as we've been heading through the last couple weeks of winter, of saying that we're going to see about that equal chance of being dry versus wet, but the green indicates wetter conditions that will be heading in our direction. So we are starting to trend not only colder but wetter as we wrap up the last couple of weeks of winter. So it does look like Phil's prediction might be a little bit more on track than our friend Buckeye Chuck. As far as what's going on the live Viper radar, though, you'll notice, well, showers have been working their way out while we still are keeping an eye on a few isolated flurries and, of course, that cold northwesterly wind. Anything that's on the ground, keep in mind, that could still refreeze. And you'll notice even with our cameras, we do have a little bit of snowfall still showing up there. So whether or not it's the snow-covered roadway or just the roadside snow, I want to make sure that you know if you have any plans to head out this afternoon, that we are still cold enough for this to refreeze and create slick spots out on the road. It is only 25 degrees here in the city, and when you factor in that north to northwesterly wind, it's been coming in at about 10 to 15 miles per hour and making it feel like the teens all morning long, if you're even lucky enough to hit that mark. Right now, 25 feels more like 13 here in Columbus. And those road surface temperatures, here's another reason why we're continuing to say even through the afternoon, we could see a little bit of that refreeze, because here in Columbus, roads being reported at only 28 degrees and below freezing surface temperatures just about everywhere. 33 over in Coshocton, kind of showing that trend that's heading our way, where naturally throughout the day we have a little bit more insulation to help to warm things up. Now, as far as the actual air temperature, like we were talking about, it is still very cold out there, sitting anywhere from about 20 to 25 degrees, and really just watching for a slow climb thanks to the continuation of all of these clouds. Now, of course, another thing that won't help us out too much throughout the afternoon is that even as we start to see cloud cover break up just a little bit, will be this cold north to northwesterly wind. So that's going to continue to push in some very cold air for us. So by the time we head toward the evening drive and overnight, that's going to be where we start to see the cloud cover break up just a little bit more. And keep in mind, overnight and first thing in the morning, that cloud cover actually does act like a blanket or some insulation to keep in heat from the day, no matter how limited it is. So we're going to just see a high temperature today hit the upper 20s and then fall back down toward the teens by first thing tomorrow morning. Now, of course, the good news with the clouds clearing out does mean that we'll see the return of some sunshine by the day tomorrow. But keep in mind, just because we have the sunshine in place does not mean a warm-up will be accompanying it, especially when we have such a cold start to the day. Now, as we head throughout the day today, we are going to be watching for temperatures, like we mentioned, to just hit a high in the upper 20s. And Audrey, even with the sunshine back in place tomorrow, temperature-wise, we're going to be looking about the same, only topping off at 28 degrees. Now, even though we have about a 10-degree jump heading our way throughout the day on Thursday, in comes our next weather maker. It'll be Thursday into Friday, where we start to see rain change back over to snow, and then kind of go back and forth between that rain and snow wintry mix. And if you look all the way ahead to next week, Sunday into Monday, that's when we get a big blast of Arctic air. And temperatures first thing Monday morning look like they'll be right around 0.